to the Other Guy podcast. I'm Steve Rhode, the Get Out Deck Guy, and with me, as always, is Damon Day, the new Get Out Deck Guy. But I have come to learn and accept that my role in all of this is for people to call Damon or reach him at damonday.com, DAMONDAY.com, and call me the Other Guy.
Yeah, that's kind of the running joke. At least a couple times a week, somebody will call and be like, "Yeah, I found you. It was on a podcast with that other guy."
The Other Guy.
And I always laugh because I was like, it's actually his show, but he's just the other guy.
I have accepted my role in life. That's my role.
Hey, I am 100% famous in my own mind.
Yeah, that's right. I'm very happy being the other guy, just because I spend every day writing and researching and going deep on these things. This week, I actually started a new series. If somebody has not subscribed to the daily weekday newsletter, it's free at getoutofdebt.org. I started a new series. I should have called it "What's This Bullshit?" But it's actually, they said, "What?" So every day I'm just debunking another myth that you hear out there. So every day is like a crisis guide. If this has happened to you, here's what you need to do right now. Bust the bullshit guide. They said what? And then the most important financial news stories of the day that affect your wallet. So I'm actually doing something over there as the other guy.
Yeah, you should have just got theotherguy.com.
That's probably taken.
Yeah. But hey, hopefully anybody listening has a long commute, because we've got quite a doozy of a show.
We do. And
today is a doozy.
And I have something I haven't told you yet, Damon.
Uh-oh. I always love surprises when we're doing the podcast.
And it's not an STD.
Oh, perfect.
Robinhood, the online trading platform where you can trade stocks and options and all that other stuff.
Yeah, they let everybody jump into SpaceX.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to open an AI agentic trading account.
Ooh,
and
go on.
I'm going to put $1,000 in it to start. And I'm going to see how I can make that money grow. And I'll report back as we go. Each month I'll report back.
That'd be fun.
See how it goes. When crypto trading came out, I did the same sort of thing. I put money in, I think it was a couple grand or something, and tried my hand at crypto trading, and that was an utter failure. So we'll see what this turns out to be.
Well, back years and years ago, you used to do you did something similar with LendingClub as well. You put some money in and talk about, when they used to let people invest in the notes. That was always fun. Those were really good returns. Yeah. And it's like anything else that's good, like a good show on Netflix that you're into, canceled.
Canceled, yeah.
Right? Just like, oh, you guys like this? Oh, you're earning good money? Now, canceled. You can't invest in notes, Well,
that's how you started. It was peer-to-peer lending. And then somebody gave them a taste of, private venture money, and they kicked all us peer lenders to the curb.
Yeah. It was, because the money was too good, right? It was like, then big money came in and was like, screw you little guys. We want to take over all of this.
My favorite.
And so, well, now I don't have any qualms about settling LendingClub debts. Let's just say that now. I'm like, yeah, whatever. We can stop paying them and settle it.
My favorite LendingClub debt story was I contacted them, again, this was years ago, and said, hey, I'd like to do a story on LendingClub, the peer-to-peer lending network. And do you have anybody in the Raleigh, North Carolina area that I might be able to talk to? And they came back. They said, Steve, we got the perfect person. He's taken a couple loans from us. He's a chef in the area. He's really enthusiastic about it. And, here's how you can connect with him. He gave his permission to them to let me know. And so I contacted him and I met and we sat down and I recorded an interview with him. And after about 30 minutes, he goes, can you turn the recorder off? He goes, can I ask you something off the record? I went, yeah. He goes, Steve, I'm so screwed. I don't know what to do. And at the end of the conversation, I had talked him into filing bankruptcy and discharging his LendingClub notes.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is back in the day, I mean, it's been a while since they let us peons invest in those LendingClub notes,
Yeah.
but I used to always get so conflicted when clients would come to me and they'd have notes. And again, my first obligation is to my client, not
Right.
some unknown investor, but still it would be on my, like, I had no problems. Oh, Chase Bank? Yeah, it's Diamond, whatever. Screw
Yeah.
the guy, But now it's like, this is, maybe somebody's, extra money or it's their investment. And that's like the individual guy. And then I was like, well, and then I would be like, well, they don't have all of their money in one note. And it is, so, but I did have, it was harder for me to be like justifying it in my own mind. Like, hey, we got to negotiate this.
Yeah.
Even if the clients, are going bankrupt or whatever. But like anything else, it's an investment. You invest it, there's risk. There's going to be some defaults. But the good thing about those notes is the defaults, at least when I invested in them back in the day, you still got great rates of return. You just kind of knew that, well, 4, 5, 6, 7% of them were going to, stop performing at some point. And you have a little bit of money in a whole bunch of different loans. So you spread the risk around.
Oh, yeah. I think the best rate of return over the entire loan portfolio, graded from A to F, A being the best credit score, lowest risk, was the DEF notes. It just proved that how much money lenders are making off subprime notes.
Yeah, the highest risk still returned the highest amount, even though the default was the highest.
Yeah, it was all factored in.
Yeah, it smoked the grade A credit rating rates. It was like safe, So unless you had a catastrophic issue and like 50% of the people just stopped paying it, and you know why? Because when you talk to people, they're paying 28%, on a LendingClub note or whatever. And they're just so focused on the emotion of not defaulting. I got to pay it. I can't go bankrupt. I can't do that. And so even if you get into these quote unquote risky notes, most people aren't going to default. They're still going to pay 30% interest for 5 years. And they'll drain their savings and retirement to do it. And that's actually going to tie into...
I know. Did I set you up perfectly or what?
You did. That's going to tie into our Duesenberg of a topic. I actually... Steve, how long have I been helping people? How many years have I been doing
25 years or something like that? I don't know.
And this happened yesterday, and I racked my brain to try to figure out if this has ever happened to me before, ever. I don't think it has. I mean, maybe years and years ago, but I had somebody call. I think she, heard our podcast, and hopefully I doubt she'll ever tune in again, but hopefully
she's definitely not listening today.
Yeah, well, hopefully she will. Maybe in a few years when she realized I was probably, right. She might tune back in. But she actually hung up on me. I don't think I've ever had that happen. Now, she's not a client. She just called in or, requested a free call, I think, from the show. And, and we'll go into what happened, but the gist of it was just the questions I was asking made her so uncomfortable.
Yeah, not because you were asking inappropriate questions.
Oh, no, we'll get into the questions I was asking and why it made her uncomfortable.
Face reality.
And I wasn't even making her face reality. I was just merely bringing up some things that we should discuss.
Right. Well, they're pertinent and relevant. I know about this conversation because after it happened, Damon called me and goes, "You will fucking not believe what just happened."
I was in the parking lot of Costco waiting to go. So it worked out for me because I was finishing up the call. I had to go in and get some pizzas. My daughter had some friends over to do a swim party. And Kathy's like, "Hey, run to Costco and get some pizzas."
Yeah.
Pro saving tip for you. If you don't have a Costco membership.
Or Sam's Club.
Dude, or Sam's Club. I've been Costco for years and years. But dude, you could get whole pizzas, and they're actually, my wife doesn't like them, but my kids like them, which is the main important thing.
They're perfectly fine.
And I like them. $9.99 for a whole large pizza. You go in there and you get 2 large pizzas to feed the kids that are coming over swim. $20. Well, like $2 and change because I always get the hot dog and soda for $1.50 to feed my fat butt on the way out. But yeah, Costco's 20-minute drive. But hey, I'll do the extra 20-minute drive because when we got pizza this weekend, it was $80 effing dollars at some place up by my house. But yeah, if you don't have a Costco membership, I don't even know what the memberships are. I think they're like $65 or something like that for the year. Sam's Club, Costco, the money you can save is ridiculous. Even the restaurant, have you ever gone in there and got the restaurant gift cards they have? They're usually 20, 25% off. Yeah, the way Costco does it is you buy like $100 gift card or whatever, and it's, $75 or $79.99. And so you go in there and you look, and it's like if there's a place that you are going to, eat at anyway, or there's movie ticket discounts. They all have different stuff. You're getting like a built-in 20, 25% discount just by planning ahead and grabbing that stuff. So
I was at Sam's Club this morning, and for their pizza deal, it's the same. It's the same price, right? Or very close to it. But they had a sign up there that said, "You can come in and get it. We'll deliver it to you at the curb, or we'll deliver it to you at home."
Oh.
So
I wonder if the delivery fee costs more than the pizza.
I don't know. Well, I don't,
because is it you got to investigate. Is this Costco delivery, or are they outsourcing this to DoorDash,
Sam's Club,
or whatever? But if they're outsourcing this to DoorDash, it's the delivery fee is going to be more than the pizza.
I wouldn't be surprised
get it yourself
if Sam's Club didn't use Walmart Spark drivers.
Well, it's still going to be more than Well, Steve, now you have an assignment. In addition to setting up a Robinhood account, you need to order a pizza from Costco and tell us what it costs to get delivered.
I don't have a Costco.
Tomato. It doesn't matter. Sam's Club, Costco, same thing. Pick your poison, whatever. Right. But anyway, it's a great investment. There's my investment advice for today. Get a Sam's Club or a Costco membership if you don't have one.
You can't beat the hot dog or slice of pizza lunch special.
I saved the entire annual membership on getting those 2 pizzas at Costco versus the local place by me.
I know.
The entire membership just paid for itself because I bought 2 damn pizzas and a hot dog.
Well, you know who didn't buy 2 damn pizzas and a hot dog? That woman that you talked to yesterday.
So yeah, I called her on the way to Costco, and we had a great conversation until the very end. And the situation was, and I didn't feel bad. I was more surprised when, she abruptly ended the call because she's not a client of mine. She's not paying me. I don't even have a horse in the race on this. I'm just literally offering her free advice. She's 71 years old. Okay, let me just paint the picture. She's 71 years old. She is on Social Security, no assets,
I think
no
she's
retirement.
On Social Security alone right now, right?
Right. As of right now, all she has is Social Security.
Yeah.
40 grand in debt on credit cards, but basically, trying to survive because she's only getting Social Security. Yeah. And again, I mentioned she was 71 years old. So we're not talking about a 30-year-old that's out there. Now she's been trying to get a job. She got 40 grand in credit card debt and 40 grand in IRS debt. $80,000 in debt that she cannot afford on Social Security. Okay. She says she has a potential job lined up that's supposed to start next week. That's a remote job, which is great. Pays $40 an hour. I don't know the details of the job other than when she was describing the job to me. I was like 50-50. Is this a legit job, or is this kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, work from home, $40 an hour, that kind of stuff, and it doesn't pan out.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the scams that I've written about, but who knows?
The bottom line is she didn't even have it yet, right? It was like she was supposed to start it in the next week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking. I was like, well, obviously if, and she said it was going to be full time. And so I was saying, well, your situation today is very different than your situation is going to be if that pans out,
right,
where, you're making Social Security only versus, more than doubling your income for this job. And so we're going through all that stuff. And it's like, okay, well, regardless of whether you get that job, you're 71, you've got no savings. And I kept, just for those that don't know me, my job is not to tell you what you have to do. I'm not the Dave Ramsey type where I'm like, you have to go bankrupt, you have to do this. My focus is on looking at all the options and helping the client work through the emotional side of it, so they can have a clear understanding of what those options are, and have somebody that you can talk it through with. Like, let's talk about bankruptcy. Let's talk about debt settlement. Let's talk about credit counseling. Let's talk about, paying this debt off in full. how would these things work? How would it look? How would these things affect my credit? Like we get, I'm somebody that you can talk to about all this stuff that's not going to be judging you. You can't go talk to your friend about these kind of things. Your friend doesn't know anything
Yeah, and you
about
can't
this
talk
stuff.
to a
And
debt relief company because they're just going to sell you whatever their widget is.
yeah. So, the more I'm, learning about this conversation, the more I'm like, and I usually start with bankruptcy, not because I think everybody needs to file bankruptcy. It's just, that's the one thing I like to start on I call it the right-hand side. If you think of a linear scale, Dave Ramsey's on the left. Here's an easy way to remember it. If you think of a line, you draw a line on a paper, left to right. On the left, you've got Dave Ramsey. And as you go down on the right, you've got bankruptcy. This is just the way I think about it in my mind. And in the middle, you've got debt management and debt settlement and consolidation loan strategies and all the different strategies in the middle between Dave Ramsey on the left and bankruptcy on the right. And here's the easy way to think about it. Dave Ramsey on the left it's a way to get out of debt, and it works for some people, but it's the most expensive, takes the longest, and is the least likely to work.
Right.
And I know a lot of people are going to be like, nah, trust me, I've been doing this a long time. I'm 100% right.
Yeah.
It is the most expensive option. And I'm not saying it's not a good option for some people. I'm not saying
no, it's just a fact. That's all.
I'm just spitting facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am. Right? Call me Dragnet, whatever. Most expensive, takes the longest, least likely to work. You only hear the people that it works for on the radio. You don't hear the people that tried it and it didn't work because it's 5 years of sacrifice.
Yeah, but you know who does hear about them? You and I.
Yeah, I hear about them all the time. That's why I'm in business. I wouldn't have any clients if Dave Ramsey's strategy worked as good as he said it. Nobody would ever call me because, I did Dave Ramsey.
I know.
So then as you go
his show, the call screener, somebody calls in, the program didn't work for me. Click.
Yeah. I listened to Dave, lost my house, and then ended up going bankrupt. He's not making that show.
No.
But anyway, so you got that strategy. And then as you go down the line, you got the debt management. Yeah. It's a little bit cheaper because you're lowering your interest rate, but it still takes a long time, not as quite as Dave Ramsey.
Yeah,
and you're saving a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you go down, you hit the debt settlement. It's faster than, the Dave Ramsey. You save more money. It's I don't know what the track record is. If you're hiring a debt settlement company, pretty bad. Now, I'm not saying.
No, it's I can tell you what it was last reported at. It was 23% success rate.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you hire a debt settlement company, they put you in there when you shouldn't be there. So I'm not saying this is a scale of on the left is the thing you don't do and on the far right is the thing you always do. I'm not rating them that way because it's different for everybody. For some people, Dave Ramsey's the best option. For some people, bankruptcy is the best option. I'm just talking about facts in terms of cost the most, takes the longest, least likely to work.
Yeah.
And then you get to the right, you get to Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you can qualify for a Chapter 7, again, I'm not saying if you can qualify, you have to do it. There's considerations, which is why you want to talk to somebody like me.
Yeah.
But if you're just looking at, how much does it cost? How long does it take? What is the success rate?
Yeah. What are my legal protections?
There's no argument that a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, if you qualify, and it makes sense, you're not losing your assets or whatever, is the fastest option. It costs the least amount of money out of all of them.
Yeah. Gives you the most
and it's
protection.
the most likely to work if you qualify. Right? Those are just facts. So anyway, let's go back to this conversation. Now, I'm not saying, hey, look, you need to file bankruptcy, but here's what I look at, right? My job, again, is to help the client get the emotions kind of out of the way because I'm not emotionally invested in this. So I'm looking at somebody who's 71 years old that has absolutely no retirement, that is not even earning enough money right now to cover everything.
Right. And that's where the credit card debt came from, making ends meet.
Yeah. So now she's very optimistic about this new job, and that's great.
Yay.
And I hope it pans out, but I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, but here's what set off my scam radar on that alleged job. The backup job that she was thinking about was going to be medical coding at home. That's like Scamville #1.
Yeah. But I took it from the standpoint of, I didn't know anything about the job and I wasn't going to second guess it right now. I was looking at it as job or not, my advice to her is not going to change. And I was trying to explain why when things started to get uncomfortable for her. And so now she'd already told me she'd filed bankruptcy, 15 years ago. So she knew about bankruptcy, knew how it worked. And so when I started talking to her about it, I always preface it with, I'm not saying you go file bankruptcy. This is how I work. Let's talk it through. And she was just, bankruptcy is a red line. Not even going to do it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Again, I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying, let's talk it through. And she's like, no, I'm getting this job. I can pay off this debt. And I was like, well, that's great. And I said, so let me just, throw a couple things at you. And again, I'm just, for the sake of discussion, because it's important for me to understand where you are coming from. To give you the best advice, I have to kind of understand your line of thinking and kind of put myself in your shoes so I can, empathize with that and kind of see where you're coming from. That's just what I need to do, right? If you want good advice, I have to kind of know what's important to you. So we were going through and I was explaining to her, I was like, well, I get it, but let's say best case scenario that you get this job and it's totally legit and everything's good and you're making this $40 an hour and you Dave Ramsey your way, which is what she wanted to do. She wanted to pay all the debt in full. And again, I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm just saying to make a major decision like that's going to affect your entire life. Okay, not to be like overly dramatic about it, but it will affect the rest of her life. This is an important decision worth having a conversation, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, because it forces you to address some beliefs that you might have, right?
This is why facts matter in this case.
So my point to her was, so let's say, what's the best case scenario? This job is legit and you take all that extra money that you're making and you get on a 5-year plan, a DMP or whatever, you pay this debt off in 5 years. So best case scenario, you're now 76, maybe working, maybe not working, back on Social Security with no cushion at all, back to square one, right? And then what's going to happen if you lose that job at some point between now and the next 5 years? Everything goes right back on those cards. You never get ahead. So I said, even if you get this job and it works out, if you went back and we looked at everything, everything, it would have been a simple Chapter 7. I was like, if you would file the bankruptcy, we looked at the IRS debt. It's not going to wipe out the IRS debt. So she's on the hook for that 40 grand, no matter what. We looked at how old the debt was, and that was not going to get rid of that. But what the bankruptcy would do is get rid of the other half that was at 20, 25, 30% interest and allow her then to get on some kind of a payment plan with the IRS. Now, if she's on Social Security only, there's a chance she could be deemed uncollectible on that and maybe not have to pay it. But if that job is legit, she's going to be on a payment plan with the IRS.
Yeah.
So now we're talking, not only is she having to pay back the IRS 40 grand, if she doesn't wipe out the credit card debt in a bankruptcy, she's going to have to use the other half of her check from her new job, if it's real, to pay back this other debt. So 5 years from now, she's still going to be totally broke with nothing but Social Security. And you can't work forever.
Yeah, but
sometimes it's not a choice.
Was she getting in Social Security? It wasn't that much.
It was like $2,600 after Medicare was taken out and all that stuff. It was about 20. So it wasn't like 1,000, but $2,600. Raise your hand if you want to live on $2,600 a month and you think that's going to work.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you think $2,600 a month is going to be good in 5 years or 10 years. Raise your hand if you think the cost of living is going to increase, the cost of living adjustments from Social Security is going to keep up with inflation. Yeah, nobody has their hand up, right?
And but here's the other thing that she didn't mention is that, it wasn't her, it was somebody else we talked about. Never mind.
Yeah. So anyway, my whole point was, and this is where I could tell there was started to be some tension, and it was still a cordial call at this point, because I'm not saying you have to file bankruptcy. I'm saying, look, we can talk about other options, but she just kept saying, it's a red line. I'm not doing it. And I asked her, and this is how I preface it. I said, okay, I'm not saying you should. I don't know enough about your situation to say you should. We're just talking it through. But just so I can have a better understanding, why don't you want to file bankruptcy? Not saying you should, but why? And that is silence, right? She was just like, I just don't want to do it. I've worked so hard to get to where I'm at. And I was like, okay, I stored that in the mental Rolodex.
Yeah,
like,
when you told me that, I just went, huh?
So that was like a non-answer, right? And so we talked about some other things, and because I could tell it was stressing her out, right? The emotion, it was an emotional, I just don't want to do it, but I didn't know why. So again, I'm trying to help, right? I'm trying to help her work through this in her own mind, because I'm not the one that's going to be 76 and broke off my ass.
Right.
It's not me. This doesn't affect me. Like, you called me for help. So we're going through this stuff. And I was like, well, my concern is that this job doesn't last for 5 years. What if you get this job and it's great, and a year later the company goes under, or they let you go, or it's not working out, and now you're back to just Social Security. You spent the last year paying all this extra money on this debt.
Yeah.
And now you're right back to where you were before but now still no savings.
Right.
And you still owe all this money. So it's not a solution. And I said, you're going to end up being a burden to your kids. And she didn't like that. It's a fact. You will be a burden to your kids. If you have no money and you can't afford rent, your kids aren't going to want to let you out on the street unless you were an asshole to them growing up or something. Right. But so I just kept going back to, like trying to unravel what the reason was, right? I want her to know a reason, because this is a major decision. And I finally just got to a point where I was like, well, what are you hoping to learn from me? What do you want me to tell you? Because she got to the point where she's like, well, I called you because you said you had options to help me get out of debt.
Yeah.
And I said, I do. That's what we're talking about. But in her mind, she's like, no, I want to pay it all back. I want to know what options are to pay it all back. And I was like, okay, we can talk about that. But before we talk about that, I think you're making a big mistake. And I think you should at least look at some of these other strategies. And, we talk about this all the time, Steve, where we talk about hyperbolic discounting, right?
Yeah.
You're making a decision about right now and what you need to do right now, because it's scary right now. And I owe all this money and I owe the IRS, but you're not allowing your mind to think about what your life's going to be like at 75 or 76. Like, your 75-year-old self is going to hate your 71-year-old self because you didn't listen to Damon in this conversation. And again, I wasn't pushing you have to file, but in good conscience, I mean, this is what I do. I couldn't just, I'm not a bankruptcy attorney. I don't freaking get paid if she files bankruptcy. Like, I don't have a horse in that race. Like, so this is why it's baffling to me that she got so upset. So we're talking.
Yeah, but
again,
let's keep in mind the most critical thing that you've said so far. Yeah, I know you're going to get back to it, but when she said, I've worked so hard to get where I am today.
Yeah, well, the call, but at this point I was in the parking lot and I know the kids needed the pizza at 12. And I've been doing this long enough to read the room, right? And I knew basically what she wanted from me was for me to just agree with her. That's what she wanted. And I could have easily just said, you know what, let's do a plan. Okay, you're going to be making this extra $5,000 a month from this job. Here's what you should do. Here's how you stair step this thing. Here's how you pay off this debt. But that was not going to help her. The chances of that working out for her, zero. So it's like, I got to the point where I was like, and I had this one in the chamber, right? And I was like, all right, well, this is going to be it. I mean, she's going to hate me when I say this, but she just kept saying, I've worked so hard to get to where I'm at. And so then I'm thinking, well, she's got to be really worried about her credit score, because that's what everybody's worried about, which the credit score is the single biggest thing that's been responsible for the most horrible financial decisions that has ever existed. It's been the greatest tool the bankers ever invented.
That's the least
to brainwash people. Yeah, it's the greatest tool the bank has to keep you on the money train. The greatest tool, because people get brainwashed with this credit score thing. So I'm thinking, okay, what she means by I've worked so hard, it's got to be a credit score. And I said, so let's talk about, why is your credit score feel so valuable to you right now? Why are you willing to spend $100,000+ that you don't have to protect this credit score? What are you going to be doing with it? And she goes, well, it's not really my credit score. My credit score is not even that great right now. And so I was like, well, if it's not your credit score, what are we talking about here? What is it? And she goes, I just worked so hard to get to where I'm at. And I had this chamber. So and I did it in a nice way, but I knew this was going to hit like a fucking brick. Right.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm confused. You're on Social Security, no retirement, 80 grand in debt, half of which you owe the IRS. What? You work so hard to get where? Are you happy where you're at? And that's when it shifted.
Yeah.
And it was just, and I says like, maybe your decisions aren't, working, right? Maybe the things that you're doing, or maybe it's time that we looked at it from a different perspective. And she's like, okay, it's clear. I'm not talking about this anymore. I appreciate your time. Click. I hung up on me.
Yeah.
And I just sat there for a second and I went, the fuck? Okay. Good luck. I mean, and I felt bad, but it's just, and this happens, it's everybody. I have my own emotional hangups on things too. Everybody has them. And all that came down to was she was so emotionally not wanting to look at other options. She had in her mind what she wanted to do, that she didn't even open up the possibility of let's discuss this because it was challenging what she felt she wanted to do. And she logically, she knew she didn't have a good reason.
Yeah.
That's what made the conversation uncomfortable. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, and I knew it was going to happen when I phrased it that way. But what I hope is a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, that conversation maybe pissed her off so much that she revisits that conversation. Now, she'll never call me back. I know that. I understand human nature enough to know she would never call me back, but that's not my goal. My goal was I don't want her to be 76 years old and still in debt and just hating what's going on. I would rather figure that out now while she has a chance to fix it, because I kept saying, if you wipe out this debt and you get this job, now you can spend the next 5 years taking this extra money and investing it,
right,
and putting it away. Because this was a good line, because I said, how much money do you need saved up to really retire?
Yeah, what's the answer?
And she goes, well, I don't know. And I said, exactly. We don't know how much you're going to need, but we know how much you have.
Right.
And what you have is zero. So we know we need more. It's kind of like that Ron White sketch where he's drunk in public, where they threw him out of the bar.
Yeah.
You see that one? And it's like, I was drunk in the bar. They threw me in public. Arrest them. And then he goes on to say, I didn't know how many of those bouncers it was going to take to kick my ass, but I knew how many they were going to use. It's the same thing. We don't know how much money you're going to need to live the rest of your life, but we know how much you have right now.
Yeah.
And what you have right now is not enough. So we need more. And there was just no logic to the idea that we should just sacrifice everything at 71 years old to pay back unsecured debt that could easily get wiped out in a BK and allow you to save that money, because we don't know if this job is even legitimate, and if it is, how long it's going to last. Because keep in mind, you don't always get to choose when you can't work anymore. Well, sometimes nobody chooses you. You're too old. They don't want you. You can't get hired.
Yeah.
It's not your choice.
I mean, there are two things there that are true. Number one, she was really feeling it emotionally. And so that was a truth. But number two, the math was true too. So,
but it just comes down to, when clients hire me, or even just call me, even if they don't hire me, I'm here to help you, even if it's a free call. It's like, I'm not trying to gain anything by telling her to meet with a bankruptcy attorney. I'm just looking at the facts. I don't get a referral fee from a bankruptcy attorney. I don't make anything. So you got to sit there, and if you be objective about it, why would Damon be so adamant about I at least talk to a bankruptcy attorney? Yeah. I gain nothing if you talk to a bankruptcy attorney, but she gains a life.
Yeah.
I mean, life. I'm not the one with something to risk. So when she hung up on me, I was just like, what? Okay, I'm going to go in and get some $10 pizzas right now. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right. So, the whole thing is just, you got to let the emotion, the things that you hold on to, some of the beliefs that you have about certain things are wrong, and they're causing you to make bad decisions. And when you have somebody that you can talk these things through with, as long as you can try to compartmentalize the emotional part and just look at the facts. And I know it's easier said than done, because again, everybody has, Steve, I have an issue. Here's my own mental hangups, right?
Yeah.
It seems like, which mental issue we talking about here? Let's see where we're going with this. But real quick, I have a hard time getting rid of things. Mm-hmm. Steve would call me a
hoarder.
But one of my favorite shows is Hoarders, because I can watch that show and go, I ain't that bad. I'm fine. Right now. And I'm not, I mean, you can,
you are not
walk in my house, and I'm not that bad, but don't go in my garage. But I do have, and I'm acknowledging this, right? The logical side of my brain understands that I have a problem throwing things away. I think for me, it's more of a value play. It's the sunk cost fallacy. Mm-hmm. Now I know it. I can tell myself all day long, right? I have a saw in my garage. It's a circular saw. It's a nice saw. Buy it on Home Depot. It's like $500.
Sounds like it needs
It's
to go.
it's got a stand. Steve, shut up. This is my story. It's got a stand, right? I bought this in 2004 when we were building our house, right? And I was going to do the baseboard, and I needed this good saw, and it had, you just have it on the angles and da-da-da. And I did the baseboard in the house. Yeah, 2004. And I still have the saw in my garage, and I think I have used it twice since 2004. I'm not the handy dandy dad. I mean, I can do projects, but that's not what I'm into. I don't do that. But did I ever get rid of it? No. Now, I've moved that saw, and when I say across the country, I'm not shitting you. Across the country, I've moved probably 6 times in the last, and that saw comes every time, goes into the storage, into the truck, but every time I look at that thing, it's taken up all this room in my garage, and I haven't even turned it. And the twice that I used it, I could have used a regular circular saw. By the way, I have 2 of those. I have 2 regular circular saws. Don't ask me why. But I could have used those, but I used the big saw just because it made me feel better. Like, I got to use this. I didn't need it. I was just chopping up some 2x4s or something. But the bottom line is, every time I move, I get the saw and I go, I should sell this. My logical side of my brain goes, you haven't used this in forever. You should give it away or you should sell it. But then it's like, I paid $500 for it. I might need it one day, right? And I have that constant battle, and that effing saw is still there. I finally just recently got to the point, was it 2 years ago, Steve? I finally, for the first time in my adult life, did not have a storage unit that I was paying money for.
And you've been getting rid of stuff.
But my point is, when somebody talks to me, now Steve and I will have conversations, and he'll say, just get rid of it. And I'll feel that in my stomach. Like, I don't want to get rid of it. But logically, I'm like, he's 100% right. But it's an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not mad at him for saying that, but I understand how this person was feeling when I kept bringing up, let's just talk about the bankruptcy. Emotionally, it was an uncomfortable, whatever she went through in 2010. I don't know what it was, because she didn't want to share that, and that's fine. But it was emotionally uncomfortable, but it was completely irrational not to discuss it. Irrational to her detriment. Irrational to the point where that saw is just one story. My whole garage is full of those stories. And I've been getting better at that. I got rid of enough stuff to get rid of the storage unit, but I completely understand the emotional attachments to it. For me, it's just things. For some people, it's money. For some people, it's credit or debt or status or whatever. But we all have these things. And that's why it's important to be able to work through it. But when I talk to Steve about certain things, he's very logical, right? We'll get rid of it. You don't need it. And I go, I know he's right, but man, I like it. I want to keep it, right? And I don't want to have that conversation anymore, because it's going to make me feel dumb. It'll make me feel stupid. Like, I know I should get rid of that saw, but I keep it. And if I mention it to Steve again that I still have it, he might think I'm stupid. He might think I'm dumb.
I never want you to feel dumb.
I know, but so I understand that, but she got to the point where she didn't want to feel that feeling and just shut down. She didn't want to talk about it anymore and just got off the phone. And it sucks. I feel bad. And I was really delicate with it throughout the whole conversation until it got to the point where it's like, well, I need to shake her a little bit. And if she hates me for it, I'm willing to shoulder that. She might hate me forever, but I'm hoping something might trigger for her. Like, maybe if she listens to this, like, I had nothing to gain by bringing that up. I promise you, it's going to better your life in your situation.
Well, it's a great question.
Job or no job.
You worked so hard to get here where you're in trouble.
Yeah. And regardless of what that was, what's stopping you from now making it better? Do you want to stay here, or do you want to make it better? You worked so hard to get where you're at, and I understand that. And I know she didn't mean I worked so hard to get in debt, right? Which is why I thought she was talking about her credit. But when she said it's not really your credit, then I'm going, then what is it? What's stopping you from just, if I call it the Fresh Start Program, new federal law, Fresh Start Program, not called bankruptcy, does the same thing, but it's the Fresh Start Program. And she'd say, tell me more. Tell me more about this Fresh Start Program. Oh, it's a great program, the federal government, because the economy sucks and blah, 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 blah. and you wipe out all your unsecured debt and you just get a fresh start. That's a fresh start program.
Tax free.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's what I need. I could wipe out this 40 grand. I don't have to keep paying this $1,000, $1,200 a month anymore. No, you don't. And now if you get this job, you can start saving. Put the $1,200 a month in your Acorns account and have a savings for the first time in how many years? Because you don't know how long you're going to be able to work. You don't know, right? We don't know how much you need to retire, but we know how much you have.
Well, we got about 5
So-
minutes left, so let me talk about my story.
I told you we should talk about your story
No,
first because I'm long-winded,
Yeah,
bro.
yours is well, you went off on a what is it? A diatribe?
Diatribe? It's a diatribe.
Diatribe. No, mine is people can go and read this one on the getoutdebt.org site. This week I posted 2 stories. I had somebody that came into the Ask Steve chat, which is anonymous. You can come in and ask me anything. And this person came in and reminded me of a financial situation that I wrote about 14 years ago. And this guy was in the world of financial domination, FinDom. This guy was what is called either a pay slave, a money slave, or a pay pig. And that is a guy who gives money to I'm going to say mistress, but this doesn't have anything to do with sex. Has to
It's
do
like
with
a dominatrix,
yes,
right?
has to do with power. The thing that's closest to this is like BDSM or some other type of um, control. So this guy felt like he got his not even a sexual satisfaction, but a psychological relief or a validation that somebody else could help control his life by giving over tithes or gifts to his FinDom, his goddess, his cash master, who
And real quick, if you're listening and you're so lost right now,
Mhm.
I also had no idea about any of this stuff until Steve wrote that article 14 years ago. And I was like, huh? But apparently it's a big kind of thing.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
more
growing.
prevalent than you would think. It's kind of crazy, actually.
It's growing. I mean, it's growing because of the internet and OnlyFans is one place where FinDoms exist. But I remember way back in the day when I first started helping people in '94. I had a client way back then who was a pay pig, but he did it by mail and by telephone. That was the old days. Now you can do it online. And this guy, his FinDom, he gave her remote control to his computer and access to his bank accounts. So she
Ugh.
could log in and take money whenever she wanted. And in the chat, I talked to him about, are you able to talk to anybody about this? And
This is AI Steve
AI
chat, right?
Steve,
This is
yeah.
AI talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Based on my 30 plus years of experience. But because this is exactly what I would have said to him in person. And he pushed back just like your lady pushed back. No, I can't. He could not emotionally conceive that he could do anything to break this relationship with his financial dominatrix. And, it's a very complicated subject because on one hand, it's an addiction. But there are people who go play the slot machines who swear they don't have any addiction at all. They can stop at any time, and they're spending their own money to go do what they want to do. I don't think that's victim scammer thing. If you're an adult and you're making that decision, this is what you can afford, and that's what you want to do. That's fine. I mean, I guess that's fine. But I've seen this easily spiral. In the post that I wrote in 2012, I actually included screenshots of FinDoms, financial dominatrixes, FinDoms who actually posted pictures of their pay pigs and their bank accounts to humiliate them because that's the satisfaction that person wanted. Hey, this goes with the topics we've been talking about. I don't have to emotionally understand any of this. I'm just saying this actually happens. And so when I asked him in the chat, Are you able to talk to anybody about this? No. Are you able to talk? Do you have a therapist? No. Are you able to talk to your doctor about this? No. It made me think about ways that people could phrase that and, try to get some help. But the emotional pull of the satisfaction that he gets from being a pay pig is going to overwhelm the logic and math of what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's not about money problems are not about the debt because debt is just math wrapped in emotion.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
no, I'm hoping that you and I have both had clients that have come back 10 years later and have now been ready to hear it. Unfortunately, your lady's going to be 81.
Well, and I figured early on in the conversation this wasn't going to be a math problem, right? And that's why I was trying to kind of dig into what are the reasons behind this is a red line, right? And I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do that, and that's fine as long as my client understands the logic behind their decisions. There's no, and I kept telling her, there's no wrong answer here. I'm not saying paying off the debt is wrong.
I just want you to
You know,
understand it.
yeah, if you look at everything and you're like, here's this and here's this and here's this, and again, I doubt right now she probably is so annoyed with me or upset with me or whatever. I mean, that she probably won't listen to this. But my hope is that she does listen to this. And again, I get it, and I'm 100% open if she hears this and she wants to circle back with me next week, next year, next month, whatever. Again, I get it. I understand the emotion behind this, and I can really, really help you work through that. And I would love to be able to help you work through that. So you send me a text when you're 76 and be like, hey, here's what my life is like. I do have some money. I'm glad I listened to you or whatever. I would love to be able to get that.
Yeah.
I hate the idea that maybe I did something wrong or said something wrong, or if I said something in a different way, I could have got her to open up a little bit more and kind of work through that emotional block. So I kind of feel like is where potential failure on my part, and I hate that. But I got to the point at the end of the call when I dropped that last one, when I knew that was going to kind of set her off. That was what I was going for. It was like, she's not coming around on any of this stuff. Maybe this will kind of hit her, like, so, be just direct. Like, let me just be super direct with it. And she's not going to be able to deal with it in the moment. But a month from now, maybe, she's still seething about it, right? Like, this guy, this fucking dick or whatever. But it might finally, it's like, yeah, maybe he's right. Why I work so hard and I'm just in this debt. So why do I feel like I have to keep punishing myself? Just because you worked hard doesn't mean you have to punish her, because that's what she's doing. She's punishing herself.
Ironically, this is a great ending segue. Ironically, she is her own financial dominatrix because
she's
she
like, I deserve this
herself,
punishment.
Right. And emotionally, it feeds her.
Yeah, you don't deserve the punishment. There are better ways, but the big takeaway, I'm not going to force you to do anything. I'm just going to get you to think about it. And that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but I'd rather you be a little bit uncomfortable now than broke when you're retired.
Yeah. And you'll thank Damon for that. And you know who else you'll thank? That other guy.
The other guy. That's right. I knew where you're going, Steve. I've known you a while.
On that note, Damon, I will see ya.
Peace.